of June 22, 1941, German troops invaded the territory of the USSR. This resulted in great changes on the world political Olympus. The same day, the head of the English government, Churchill, and the USA President, Roosevelt, announced their readiness to render assistance to the Soviet Union. Thus, as the fates decree, the USSR, Great Britain, and the USA turned out to be allies against Hitler. It was the beginning of formation of the anti-Hitler coalition. Upon the victorious end of the war, the USSR became one of the main players in the world arena. In world public opinion, the USSR was losing its traditional image of enemy, as the decisive contribution to the victory had been made by a Russian soldier. However, it was inevitable that the liberated Europe countries were involved in the sphere of Soviet influence. In no way could Truman and Churchill allow the propagation of communism in Europe. Only new super weapons could resist the military power of invincible Red Army. Everything began in July 1945 at the Potsdam Conference, where the Allied winners redrew boundaries of Germany and defined the frameworks of post-war cooperation. It was in Potsdam that the USA President received a message on successful test of the first nuclear warhead. This circumstance in no way could be used to enhance confidence between the Soviet Union and the USA. America was found to be the only one nuclear power in the world, and having got the strategic superiority, it received an opportunity to dictate its conditions. Japan, which had been still in the state of war with the USA, was chosen by Americans as a testing area of nuclear deterrence. An atomic bomb nicknamed Little Boy, with a yield of 15 kilotons, was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. The bomb exploded at an altitude of 540 meters, and so a shock wave of maximum power was attained. 120,000 people were killed and missing in Hiroshima. 3 days later, a uranium bomb Fat Man dropped on Nagasaki would take away lives of 42,000 peaceful people. Another 40,000 people would be wounded. The Soviet Union was concerned about the nuclear monopoly of America, and Stalin demanded from Kurchatov to hasten the creation of our own bomb. While the bomb was being developed, the Soviet Union strengthened its position in Europe, forming the camp of socialist community, which would include Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and the German Democratic Republic. Making a speech in the USA in Fulton on March 5, 1946, Winston Churchill said that the Russians most of all admired force and had the least respect to weakness, especially military one. Churchill's speech went down in history as a symbol of Cold War launching. Four months later, during the Crossroad Operation, Americans conducted a series of nuclear weapon tests. The purpose was to study consequences of nuclear strike on battleships. The first warhead, with a yield of 21 kilotons under the code name Able, was dropped from B-29 aircraft. 5 ships and 2 destroyers slipped at once beneath the water's surface. Huge destructions occurred within the radius of 900 meters. but it was hardly possible to compare it with the similar Baker device detonated 30 meters underwater. The Baker burst resulted in bigger destructions among an armada of 70 ships. Saratoga, aircraft carrier, was mortally wounded by an underwater blast. Her bottom detonated and she instantaneously sank. The area around the explosion was highly contaminated. This effect had a negative response, and President Truman took a decision to cancel subsequently the third Charlie explosion, also planned under the water. 2 years after the Crossroads Operation in summer 1948, the USA conducted the Sandstrom Operation. The purpose of the experiment was to increase twice the explosion yield, having the same amount of plutonium that was used when bombing Nagasaki. The results of the Sandstrom Operation influenced the further design of nuclear weapons. New types of warheads made nuclear weapons lighter and more efficient. The USA monopoly on nuclear weapons had not lasted for a long time. In 1949, the USSR successfully carried out a test of nuclear warhead with a yield of 27 kilotons. The Soviet Union caught up with the Americans, thus urged them to new deeds. Very soon they had in possession over 200 of such nuclear bombs and already 5 plans of nuclear attack against the USSR. But the requirements of the American military administration were growing, and they started to develop and design Bureau's intercontinental strategic bomber B-52. And Stalin demanded again, but now from aviation designers, to create a super long-range bomber. On May 9, 1954, the military parade would be ended with the flight of the first Soviet strategic super long-range bomber M4. In the meantime, on August 12, 1953, the first hydrogen bomb in the world was tested on the testing ground near Semipalatinsk. It was the fourth nuclear weapon test by the USSR. The yield of the bomb was 400 kilotons, 20 times as powerful as the first atomic bombs produced by the United States and the USSR. The arms race was rapidly growing. On March 1st, 1954, the United States exploded a warhead. Its energy release was unprecedented and measured 15 megatons. This test was the last step of Americans on the way